Hey everyone, welcome to my Expert Chimps Guide. This is a two-part series made in collaboration with Taiga, and part 1 is on Taiga's channel. Link will be in the pinned comment. This video will focus on advanced and expert maps, and of course the best strategies for those maps. Many weird and wacky strategies you can get away with on beginner and intermediate maps may not work well on these more challenging maps, and some may not even work at all. When you get to advanced and expert maps, this is where you can really feel the difficulty of the game ramp up. Strategies like Avatar Wrath and Apache Prime do not work as well. You can still beat some advanced maps with those towers, but it will take more work. The number of towers you can use to easily blackboard these maps is very limited. Thankfully, there are still many powerful options as of update 34. Some good towers are Dart plus Sub, Dart plus Sniper, and 3 Dart Start. Now this may seem like a meme, but before we talk about strong late game towers and mid game towers, we first need to get past the early game. On easier maps you can start with a ninja or your hero. You can still do that on some advanced maps, but you can't do that anymore for most expert and advanced maps. So you have 3 options. You can go for Dart plus Sub if the map has water. If it doesn't have water, you can go for Dart plus Sniper. This will require micro, but you can turn the sniper into a main mob later on, or bouncing bullet / elite sniper. Or the easiest option is just 3 dart monkeys into your hero if you bought a cheap hero. If your hero is expensive like Captain Churchill, you can go for a 202 sub to help save up for him. Now let's go over some strong towers, shall we? Starting with the balloon area denial system, also known as BADS. This tower is excellent for the mid game, and with minor support it can carry you all the way up to round 80. With the money you have, you can upgrade the BADS into a BEZ. If you do that, all you need is a MIB and support, which we'll talk about support later. If you don't want to invest in a BEZ, you can buy some other strong tier 5. I've been underground chimps with Gwendolyn and Inferno Ring doing this. I bought BADS to help save it for Inferno Ring, and Inferno Ring carried the rest of the way. Remember that BADS is not a free win. If the track is split, BADS may not be able to beat very dense rounds like 63 or 78. And you need a couple of towers to help save up for BADS. It costs $17,000 on Chimps mode, and Buckshot is an okay save up tower. However, it's still a solid option for mid-game carry, and slowing down Super Ceramics come around 81+. One last thing is you always want to combine Top Path Alchemist with BADS because that multiplies his damage by 2 to 3 times. The Sky Shredder, one of the strongest tier 5s for Chimps mode. It is currently the meta for Ravine Chimps, arguably the most brutal map in BTD 6. What makes Sky Shredder so busted? Well, it has infinite range, meaning no matter where you place it, it will still do damage, but keep in mind that Sky Shredder does more damage when it's on top of balloons, and it also has insane mob damage. The twin missiles it fires do 150 damage and can pop lead and black balloons, meaning you can skip the MIB and invest that money into support. The damage output of Shredder can be increased with carrier flagship, but I don't recommend getting a carrier flagship on many expert maps. But that is an option if you choose to do so. Downside to Sky Shredder is its price tag. It costs almost $45,000 on Chimps mode, which is not a very easy save up. The best way to save up for it is to get a strong but cheaper tier 5 like POD or Elite Sniper, or you can go for a solid mid game tower like Summon Phoenix or BADS. One last tip for Sky Shredder is to combine it with an Alchemist. Permaspike is the strongest tower for Chimps mode. Many players in this community have saved up over $100,000 by round 100 using it. The reason they can do this is because the spikes last for 300 seconds or 4 rounds, whichever comes first. Meaning, if you can stall the round using a 0-1-2 Ice Monkey or Downdraft, you can accumulate a ludicrous amount of spikes and you can basically tank the whole round. The only downside is that you have to stall the round in some way to fully make use of Permaspike. This makes run take much longer, so if you're short on time, or you don't want to wait a long time to finish runs, P-Spike may not be for you. Still, P-Spike is a very powerful tier 5 you can stall the round and save up for it, as it costs $32,000. Not as expensive as some of the other towers here, but it is still pretty pricey. One last tip for P-Spike is 205 is better if you're not buffing it with Alchemist. If you are planning to buff P-Spike with Alchemist, which you should, 025 is better. Pirate Lord has quickly become one of the strongest tier 5s in the game, after some buffs to it in update 33.0. Now Pirate Lord and Admiral Brickle combo are one of the strongest in the game, and I've beaten high finance chimps with 34k left over using P-Lord and Brickwell, and someone on the BTD 6 subreddit beat #OuchChimps with 84k left over. Not many towers can do this, and the best part about Pirate Lord is that the save up to Cannon Ship easily segues into Monkey Pirates. Monkey Pirates easily segues into Pirate Lord, so you don't need a mid game tower to save up for it. Using P-Lord itself is easy. Use the ability to take down DMGs and DTs in the 80s and 90s, and that's really it. Things start to get complicated when you combine Brickwell and P-Lord, because level 10 mob mine can be tricky to use. I won't go in depth here because that would take a while, but to sum it up, Brickwell plus P-Lord synergy. Brickwell's mob mine takes down high HP blimps when P-Lord's takedown ability is on cooldown, and P-Lord's attacks clean up the insides. The only downside of P-Lord is that the map must have a central water spot, so you can't use it on every map, but it is worth it when you can. This section will cover support options. Once you've got your main DPS towers, they will still need support, so let's go over some options. Mob Glue is the most popular support option because it slows down all mobs by 37.5% and non-mobs by 75%. There isn't much strategy using Mob Glue, you just place it down and let it do its thing. Next is 012 Ice Monkey. I mentioned 012 Ice Monkey in the P-Spike section, but 012 Ice is still using even if you aren't using P-Spike, as 012 can stall the round to recharge your abilities. This is especially powerful if you're relying on ability-based towers as your main DPS, like Plasma Monkey Fan Club or Total Transformation. If you aren't using any abilities, 012 Ice is really good at stalling ceramics late game if you are struggling to ceramics. 012 can slow them down long enough for your towers to pop it, so 012 is an excellent all-around support option. Sabo is another popular support option, especially for rounds like 95. Sabo slows all balloons on screen by 50% for 15 seconds. This is very useful for DT rounds as it gives you more time for your towers to pop them. Sabo becomes even stronger when you combine it with Mob Glue. Again, not much strategy when using Sabo, just make sure to buy the upgrade before you need it because you will need to wait for the ability to recharge. Snowstorm / Absolute Zero. These two towers are excellent support options because they have a global freeze and slow down balloons in their radius. This can be useful if 012 Ice uses up all of its peers, thus not catching all ceramics. The ability can be used to slow down mobs and balloons to give more time for your towers to pop them. If you upgrade to a 250 Absolute Zero, you gain a permanent slow using the ability. So the question is, when should I use Sabo over Snowstorm? Well, that depends. The freeze effect on Snowstorm is shorter than Sabo, but it has a better speed reduction, so it depends on the situation. I use Snowstorm / Absolute Zero more often because they do double duty with slowing down ceramics. Last but not least, we have Downdraft. Downdraft's primary purpose is ceramic blowback. Instead of freezing ceramics in place like 012 Ice or Snowstorm, Downdraft blows back ceramics. This can be useful if your towers can't hit frozen balloons or the map is multi-lane. So instead of getting an ice tower for each lane, you get a Downdraft, and you just micro it properly, so it covers all 3 lanes. Downdraft can be used in conjunction with 012 Ice. For example, let's say you're using a permaspike strategy, and your 012 Ice is at the start of the track, away from your other towers. Here, I use Downdraft to blow back ceramics towards the start of the track so it can be caught by 012. Thus, this allows me to stall the rounds even longer. Now, I didn't go over every good mid-game tower, late-game tower, or support tower, because that would take a long time, and I want this video to be short and digestible. If you guys really want me to, I could make another video going over each hero in depth. Again, I didn't do that in this video because that would take a long time. Anyways, happy black bouldering, and again, if you haven't, go check out the part 1 of this series over on Taiga's channel. See you on the next video.